சார்
இருக்கீங்களா?
நல்லா
நல்லா
இருக்கேன்.
இருக்கும்.
நல்லா இருக்கேன்.
டிபார்ட்மெண்ட் போவீங்களா அப்பப்போ?
Good afternoon, everyone.
இல்ல இப்ப ஒன்னும் அவங்க இப்ப ஏதாவது இதாச்சே எல்லாம் கொரோனா
சரி.
டிபார்ட்மெண்ட் எல்லாம்
ஆமா ஆமா
ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் எல்லாம் யாரும் கிடையாது.
ஆமா ஆமா
அதான்,
இந்த கொரோனானால ஒண்ணும் இல்லையே, கிளாஸ்
ஆமா
நடக்கலையே.
ஆமா
சரி
ப்ரோக்ராமும் ஒண்ணும் இல்ல, ப்ரோக்ராமும் இல்ல.
ஆமா.
நீங்க என்ன இது தாடி பர்மனண்டா வச்சிட்டீங்களா எப்படி?
Good afternoon, everyone.
ஆரம்பிக்கலாம்.
We shall start the session now. Yes, sir. We'll start, sir. Respected Head of the Department, Dr. V.M. Subramaniam, my dear colleagues, Dr. Sundara Balu, Senior Faculty, Dr. N. Ramesh, Dr. P. Shankar Ganesh, Senior Professors, researchers, student friends from other institutions and Bharatiya University. I welcome you all to the 10th session and final day of the webinar on amalgamation of man, machine, and language in contemporary translation activities, approaches on bilingual and multilingual perspectives. Today's speaker is none other than our head of the department, Dr. V.M. Subramaniam. Before he takes the platform, it's my duty to give an introduction about Dr. VMS. The doctor has 2 master degrees, one in English from Madurai Kamaraj University and linguistics from Annamalai University. He did his MPhil and PhD in linguistics from Bharatiya University. He's an alumni of this department. He started his career in China and worked nearly for 7 years there in 3 institutions. One is North University of China as associate professor, and later he joined Normal University China, and later China Australia Business College China. After that, he joined here in the Department of Linguistics, Bharatiya University, and is serving as assistant professor for 12 years. His area of research includes English language teaching, syntax, sociolinguistics, translation, British and American literature, psycholinguistics. He has held different positions in Bharatiya University as registrar in charge, additional controller of examinations. He has been convener of different commissions and committees. He has completed one UGC sponsored project and one ongoing project from RUSA. He has visited many countries for academic deliberations like Singapore, Malaysia, China, Bangladesh, and Thailand. And under his guidance, around 10 candidates have attained their PhD degree and 7 yet to have. And the MPhil, around 12 have attained their degree. He has published around 40 articles in international as well as national journals, nearly 20 each. And there are so many things which I can talk about our HOD's achievements and about him. But because of the time constraint, I would like to stop here and invite Dr. V.M. Subramaniam to take over the platform. Welcome, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Vijayan, for your nice introduction. At the outset, I would like to thank all the participants this afternoon, my dear colleagues, for all the way helping me and the department and all the guests to run this webinar in a very successful manner. Today is the final day of this 10-day long webinar program, and I am given chance to deliberate with you people on translation related to Industry 5.0. So before I go for presenting the paper, it's my humble duty to welcome the senior most professors, my dear professor and my mentor, Professor C. Sanmugam, Professor Nadaraja Pillai, Professor Ramamurthy, Professor Nadana Subhabadi, and Professor Muralidharan sir, and my dear friend, Dr. Selvakumar, and still other professors from different parts of India, and my dear research scholars, and most of all, my dear new students, and my dear colleagues. So thank you for inviting me to present a paper on translation in the Industry 5.0. And today I'm going to deliver you a simple lecture, not going to be an elaborate one in the center of computational linguistics, but I'll try my level best to uh, include some of the valuable points that could be more important or reliable at this juncture, because we are in need of this translation industry and the service in several walks of our life. So the topic I have chosen is the scope of translation technologies in Industry 5.0. So translation is not a new industry or new field to linguistics, and it is one of the subfield of linguistics. And we could see almost all the concepts and theories were put forth by the notable linguist. Until recent past, linguists were having that upper hand in all kinds of translation services and activities. But due to the advent and the rapid surge in computational system and technology, the touch with the linguistics in translation is not that much great or not that much in numbers. So still there are a lot of avenues yet to be touched by the linguist in the translation industry, especially in the Industry 5.0. So when I was thinking of this line, I was just asking about this to my senior professors, and they said, so it is a need of the hour, you just go ahead. So after consultation with many professors of good experience in this industry, and they suggest me to conduct this webinar on this translation. For the past 9 days, the senior most professors have touched upon so many topics related to translation industry in computational perspectives. So today, I'm also going to deal with the same thing, but considering the listeners, I mean the students, most of the students are from the Department of Linguistics, and some of them are very new, just joined, and they have not yet attended even single class. So considering them, it is my humble duty to introduce some of the basic concepts of translation. Then I will proceed into the computational touch with the translation, then move to Industry 5.0. So simply, I just divide my lecture into 3 lines, otherwise 3 parts. The first part is going to deal with the theoretical perspectives of linguistics, starting from the 1970s and 80s in global scenario. Then the industrial development or industrial movement, how it has an impact over the translation, that is in the second part. And in the third part, I will just try to focus on the need and the role of linguistics in translation, especially in Industry 5.0. So this is the simple introduction. So I have to be meticulously planned to complete this lecture, because followed by this lecture, there will be a valediction ceremony, and our honorable registrar is going to participate in that one, and he is going to deliver the valedictory address. So I'll try my level best, and let me begin this presentation. So hope you can see the slides. Can you see the slides clearly?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sir. So this is the title, and I just begin the definition of linguistics with Eugene Naida, none other than our senior most linguist. So from this very explanation, we can say translation is nothing but reproducing the language in terms of meaning and style. It's a simple and bare-bone explanation. So translation consists of reproducing in the receptor language the closest natural equivalents of the source language message, first in terms of meaning and secondly in terms of style. So that is what we strive for as a human being when we have no technology, and we try our level best considering all these concepts of the source language and take that without compromising anything into the target language. And the next definition is from the Peter Newmark, that is that the translation is rendering the meaning of a text into another language in the way that the author intended the text. So here also the same or the similar idea. So it is also converting or transferring or transmigrating that idea, because when we talk about translation, that is not the original, there is no equivalent. We are sitting or we are moving or we are finding the kind of equivalent in the sense near equivalent. We are trying our level best to find the near equivalent in the target language. So it is rendering the meaning of the text into another language in the way that the author intended the text. So that is from Peter Newman, and the another Russian linguist from the three-dimensional view, that is from Jacobson. First one is intralingual, and second one is interlingual, and third one is intersemiotic translation. So from his perspective, intralingual translation is rewording, is an interpretation of verbal signs by means of other signs of the same language. That means to put the meaning in different words. So coming to the point of writing, for example, when we convey or when we convert our mental ideas or mental structures or cognitive thought process into another text form, whether it is in spoken form or in the written form, we utter one way. Then if we are not satisfied, we alter ourselves. For example, while writing a sentence, we used to strike out some of the words if we are not satisfied. Until we satisfied, we go on modifying or rewording, or we just change or transforming. That means we are not perfect in that. That means there is no equivalent. So we are trying to find out the near equivalent meaningful word for that image or the cognitive process that popped out in our mind. So here also we compromise. So translation is a compromise. Even within the writer himself, there's a compromise. So here, the first writer himself, a translator, he is translating his mental images or ideas or converting into text. There he is just altering. In the intersemiotic translation, that suits very perfectly. But here also the similar idea we could see in the interlingual level. We are just, he's just pointing out, just transferring the words from one to other. And in the third one, intersemiotic, finding the equivalent for the mental image. And the second one, interlingual translation or translation proper, is interpretation of verbal signs by means of some other language. Here, transferring the similar idea, what he conceived in his mind or what he has produced in the text or in the speech, finding equivalent or changing the sense in the ongoing language or in the desired language. So interpretation of the verbal signs from the source language into the target language. That is called intralingual. And the third one is intersemiotic translation or transmutation, is an interpretation of verbal signs by means of signs of non-verbal, non-verbal signs by means of signs of non-verbal sign system. So here, finding the exact word for the non-verbal signs is also a difficult process. So Jacobson points out these three processes involving in the translation process. And next, I just want to move it a little bit faster. This from the Catford. Catford provides three definitions for translation in three types. The first one is full translation. The full translation means it's a type of translation in which the entire source language text is reproduced by the target language text materials. So here, he means the entire or the full translation, maybe in the text form, maybe we can, but coming to the point of the meaning and style, what is put forth by NIDA, there will be a question. Is it possible to translate the full meaning and the style? Okay, now the next one, partial translation. So there are only some parts of source language text to be translated into the target language text. Of course, in partial translation, we just leave the untranslatable things. Sometimes we compromise, sometimes we don't do that one. So that is what he calls as a partial translation. The third one is total translation. That is, the target language material replaces all levels of source language text. So all levels in the sense, linguistic levels. But coming to the point of meaning making process, whether the meaning is echoing the true sense of the source language, that will be still a bigger question. And still Catford is providing some other kinds of translation in the different levels. That is restricted translation, rank-bound translation, and unbounded translation. So in restricted translation, it is the replacement of source language textual material with equivalent target language material at only one level, whether at the phonological level or graphological level or at the level of grammar or lexical. So, the restricted translation or in the limited translation kind, the translator is translating the limited content. For example, only the words or only the phonological sound system or only the grammatical system. So he is just choosy in this activity that is called restricted translation. And rank-bound translation, it means that the selection of target language text equivalent is limited at only one rank, such as word for word equivalence or morpheme for morpheme equivalence. So this is identifying the similar ranking units from these two languages, from the target language and the source language. So just selecting the ranking of the words in some points, but if the point may be word to word or morpheme to morpheme or phoneme to phoneme, like that. And the next one is unbounded translation. So it can be, it can move freely up and down in the all ranking scale. So incorporating all these things, there is unbounded translation. So these are the kinds of translation Catford put forth. So these are the application based and as for your understanding. And now let's see what are the basic things in language and what are the things to be translated, or what are the points or elements, compounds that should be considered while doing this activity. So we all know that the phonological, morphological, syntactical, semantical, and pragmatic perspectives of the languages are the backbones or the key elements of any language, no doubt at all. So here, just for our understanding, and I just named the components one by one. In phonology, we consider rhyme, rhythm, alliteration, consonants, assonance, meter, foot, chiming, stress, pitch, tone, etc. And in vocabulary, we consider synonymy, polysemy, antonyms, annotations, collocations, idioms, proverbs, metaphors, technical terms, culture, and etc. And in grammatical level, sentences, classes, word order, tenses, voice, questions, negations, imperatives, adjectives, adverbs, articles, etc. And in style, we just consider the formality versus informality, fronting, parallelism, ambiguity, repetition, redundancy, short sentencing, long sentencing, normalization, verbalization, etc. So these are the components of the language, so with which we are dealing with, and a person who is using the language as to understand all the nuances of these components while he is employing them in uttering the sentences. And the same as when he is converting the idea in the one language to another language, he has to carefully consider all these components without compromising anything. So language is a language. When we feel that my language is superior, or when we have the kind of chauvinism in our mind, that should be reflected and generalized to every language. So is the translation activity. So without compromising, a translator needs to consider all these components while he is transforming the idea from the source language to target language. But the problem is, in reality, it is highly impossible for a translator. Even though we have seen a lot of near translation, but still there are some compromises. Reasons are several. At the end of this session, we will discuss more about that one, why we are not able to translate the true sense or idea or the meaning of one text to other text, even if we are applying all kinds of strategies and techniques involving linguistics. And the translation, the largest fields, we do consider the phonology, morphology, syntax, pragmatics, culture, social, and moreover, the translator's knowledge and fluency in language. So even if we have all these linguistic and literary knowledge, apart from that, a translator should have some knowledge and fluency in the language. That means the knowledge in the sense what is the text he is going to translate and how much basic knowledge he possesses. his experience in that particular field. For example, I have some idea, some knowledge in English language when I translate, coming to the point of translating the cultural points of view or cultural elements. At the same time, with that knowledge, if I just go for scientific translation, I may not be successful in that one. So the basic on the background knowledge of the thing which is to be translated also best criterion translation process. And these are the kinds of translation. Is for your understanding. I just mentioned some of them, starting with literal translation, and in phonological translation, graphological, grammatical, full translation, partial, total, rank bound, restricted, free, literal, transcription. So these are the kinds. And apart from that, we compromise to some extent transcreation, transliteration, transcription. When we are not able to translate, sometimes some of the things are untranslatable, so we just go for phonemic translation. Just right away in the source language, how it is called or how it is pronounced, then we just compromise that also. So these are the kinds of translation for your understanding. And now I just want to say some of the major translation domains which are very much in need of the translation activities and translation practices. Starting from cultural exchanges, we all know that people do have a lot of cultural shocks and cultural misunderstanding and cultural kind of misunderstanding due to the non-translatable or untranslatable things in mind as well as in readability. So the cultural exchanges, they are very badly relying on the translation process and translation techniques. If there is no translation, there will be no great cultural exchanges. And countries' external affairs, no need to say, the travel, tourism, healthcare and medical, banking and insurance, education and training, software development, research publications, patent filing, and artificial intelligence. So these are the major domains where these translations are very much in need. I don't think that any other field which is existing without significance. So these are the basic needs of the human life, and we cannot escape from all these fields. Somehow or other, we are involving in any one of the field from our professional points of view also. So without translation and without this translation process or activities, it is highly difficult to survive well or enjoy the real world, what we are witnessing in the year 2020. And here, this evolution of translation. Translation has always played a crucial role in interlingual communication by allowing for the sharing of knowledge and culture between different languages. And the one definition from Cronin, a businessman otherwise, argues that any form of global interaction cannot occur without interlingual activities, and thus globalization denotes translation. So the concept of globalization, when it started during 1980s, the first thing is who to contact, how to contact. So when we consider the point of contacting the new person at the new scenario or the new context, language is the base. So globalization itself, there is a translation. If there is no translation, there is no globalization. So the concept behind the globalization is uniting the global people and making the global citizens under one village. That concept is possible. It will be fine only when the translation activities permits and the translation reaches the people without any flaws. I mean, at least without any problems. So here, I just moved to the second part of this presentation. So far, I have been just talking about the translation-related things for the better understanding of the new and young students. And now I just moved to the second part of the presentation that is related to Industrial Revolution, and that is related to the topic what I proposed. And the Industrial Revolution, as all we know that human evolution, starting from the ages, there are some points that should be very significantly noted down. So the Industrial Revolution started in the West, especially in England during the 17th century. And that Industrial Revolution paved the way for the human development. I mean, the cultural development, the Industrial Revolution, the humanist development, and the social life of the people, they all changed a lot due to the industrial development, industrial revolution otherwise. So from these translation perspectives and the industry 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 perspective, so the timeline begins from the 18th century, that is the beginning of the industrial revolution. And we will see one by one what happens and how this industrial revolution paved the way for the language translation and how these translation activities are intermingling or playing a backbone role or inevitable role in the industrial revolution. So the first one starting with the 18th century, and the industrial revolution's outcome is steam and power and mechanization of production. So for the first time in the human evolution, people started introduced steam powered engine and mechanics people started to produce, and that helped increasing productivity. Increasing productivity not in the industrial perspective, increasing the productivity in the sense of all agricultural including the human productivity. And the steamship that helped to travel and sail all over the world, and steam-powered locomotive, that also the first phase of industrial revolution. And the impact of this industrial revolution is the work started to be more easier and it started to be faster, and human beings got lesser time because without tools and without machines, the human beings before the 18th century, they worked hard and they spent quite a lot of time. They didn't have sufficient time to have rest. But this steam-powered locomotive mechanics helped them people to have more rest. When people started to have rest, they started to think. And that gave more avenues to create new ideas, and they started to move from place to place. If a person is simply, the idea is at one point, people got sufficient time. If they got sufficient time, and they will try to think now how to spend the sufficient time valuably. So that paved the way to explore newer world and newer things. And the impact of the language. So work with new machines need identification and of mechanical parts and instruction. Here, when people started or invented the steam and locomotive, then it was moved from place to places. When it was moved from one hand to another hand, from factory to the end user, automatically the language of the inventor, it started to flourish. And there was a need of translation. How to identify the parts, spares, and mechanicals, and all these things. The instrument source language need to be translated into the borrower's language. For example, the operational manual. Okay, we can imagine how James Watt steam engine was explored and transported to other parts of the world, and how that instruction was given to the people who have no idea about the English language. So this is the first phase of the language translation process, and people started to understand the importance of the translation. And the next phase is the Industrial Revolution 2. That timeline is 19th century. Their roughly plan, it is from 1870. The Industrial Revolution achieved the introduction of or invention of oil, electricity, and gas, automobile production, telegraph, and telephone. And the impact of the human life was work time altered in between day and night. Machines became more reliable sources. Mobility made easier. Cost of material production became easier. And the impact of the languages, travel, excursion, enterprise started. So when people got a locomotive and when the steamships were built in a very hi-fi manner, they started to explore the world. Then the translation for survival in new environment was insisted. Quest for new knowledge across the community needed in linguistic equivalence. So when a person moved from one place to another place for the first time, the traveler is said to be the more knowledgeable person. Who is the first knowledgeable person compared to the settlers? When a new person coming in, that means he was able to identify by means of his excursive attitude or exploration attitude, and he was able to compare and contrast, and he was able to introduce his language to the newer environment. So that is the impact of the language in the Industrial Revolution 2. And the Industrial Revolution 3, that is the timeline, is 1970s, that is 20th century. And we could see partial automation, and people started to create machines with partial automatic technology. And microprocessors started, and memory program controls and computers also invented. Globalization and manufacturing outsourcing also, the concept of globalization, when it was introduced, ultimately it led to globalization, sorry, manufacturing outsourcing. Now we could witness how this outsourcing is dominating the global citizens. And the impact is automatic production, robots to carry out programmed sequences, and man-machine integration that is started. And the impact of language, e-translation dictionaries, initiation of machine translation, need for multilingual translation and globalization. When machineries were built, when chipsets were built, when microprocessors were built, automatically it helped for e-translation dictionaries. And eventually the computers that made hi-fi technology for electronic multilingual translation systems. And Industrial Revolution 4. So by Industrial Revolution 4, we could notice until recent past, maybe until 2015 or 2018, we could notice, but still we are undergoing the Industrial Revolution impact of 4. In many countries, we are not able to really enjoy the facilities or the sophistication or the advantages put forth or introduced by the Industrial Revolution 4. But somehow we just very recently moved to Industrial 5. Now let's see what are the things people made in the Industrial Revolution 4. Information and communication technologies, that is ICT, to industry, the computer technology with the networking, smart production and smart factories, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, data analytics, augmented reality. So these are the things which people put forth during the Industrial Revolution 4. And the impact over the human life is it is faster, reliable in production, and sophisticated work environment, autonomous production. These are the impact over human life. And the impact over the language, you could see voice commands to machines, hi-fi sensing-oriented machine instructions, human-machine and machine-human communication. So here we started this amalgamation of man-machine interaction in this Industrial Revolution 4. So we are still enjoying that one, and we are still enriching the technology. And now this Industrial Revolution 5, that's the present age. We could notice the Industrial Revolution is going to deal with robotics and artificial intelligence, virtual education, cobots, that is collaborative robots. And still there are some other things, we are just in the beginning of this Industrial Revolution 5, and there are a lot of researches and expectations that the bot machine can be a best servant. Every human can have a bot or a replica of his own. It's like another Xerox or the clone of a particular person. So that bot machine can think like that same, and in absence of that person, the bot machine can respond to him. They are all in pipeline, but accuracy level, that will be a big question. People are working on it, that also. So the impact over the human life, that is sustainable policies, minimal wastage, making organization more effective, comfort and convenience. That's what we can witness in this Industrial Revolution 5. And the impact of the language in Industry 5.0, that is human-machine interaction, started from the Industry 4.0, and multilingual voice commands and perception involving the interaction of human intelligence and cognitive computing. So the machines can take their own decision by using the neural machine translation network system coupled with artificial intelligence. So let's see one by one how they are going to change the world and whether they are going to help or disturb the human life. So there are a lot of gimmicks, and there are a lot of scientific science fictions and movies also in the same line. But coming to the reality, the process will take slowly, but it will happen. So the predictions will happen because we are in the 3/4 of the way in this artificial intelligence enabled bot mission systems. And this industrial revolution activities. So just to sum up, need for knowledge, the operation of machines, reading manuals and listening instructions, and travel made exploration to newer places and meet newer people, translation for understanding people, language and survival, incorporating human language into machine and global context, computational technologies for easy access, machine and e-translations, and integrating information and communication technology into the global village, man-machine communication, speech to text and text to speech synthesis, augmenting AI in communication system, considering machine as human-like servants, a complete voice command over machines, synthesis at multilingual levels, bot and GoBot synergies in human communication. So these are the a simple evolution we could notice. And now this man-machine integration, how will it work? Let's see, integrate intelligent automation devices and systems at the workplace to elevate cooperation and collaboration between humans and machines. So that's what we are talking for a prolonged time. And it will help highly skilled workers to guide smart machines and robots at work better and faster alongside collaborative bots and cobots. And for all these activities, and we have been working on machine translation system for a prolonged time. I just give the basic things. All of these things are very familiar to you, but still I just, for your remembrance, I just tell you the different methods of translation in machines. The first foremost or the reliable type of translation through machine is statistical machine translation, and through which we go for word-to-word translation. And it works by referring to statistical models that are based on the analysis of large volumes of bilingual text. It aims to determine the correspondence between the word form to the source language and the word form from the target language. So simply, it is more reliable when coming to the point of word-to-word translation. And this is what we used in the first generation of translation. And the next one is rule-based machine translation, but still now we are using, that is different. But we have the neural machine translation recently now. And the second one is rule-based machine translation, that is RBMT. On the other hand, it is related to translating the sentences in the grammatical base. It conducts the grammatical analysis of the source language and the target language to generate the translated sentences. The third type is hybrid machine translation. That is the amalgamation of the first two, SMT and RBMT, for more effective translation. And the fourth one, otherwise the most popular these days, what we are striving for is neural machine translation. So neural machine translation is a type of machine translation that depends on neural network models to develop statistical models for the purpose of translation. So the primary benefit of NMT is that it provides a single system that can be trained to decipher the source and text target language. So when coming to the point of translating a large text, or when we need to translate a kind of data which is to be decided with intelligible manner, then we just prefer this neural machine translation. There we can see some kind of decision making also. That's why Google is preferring that one, that I will explain more in the next slides. So now just begin from the transfer. Let's see how this transformation took place from the industry 4.0 to 5. So in the industry 4.0, as I mentioned earlier, these are the things: system integration, big data and analytics, simulation and virtualization, IoT, Internet of Things, the cloud, cybersecurity, autonomous robots, augmented reality, and additive manufacturing. So these are the things put forth during the industry 4.0. And these are the expectations of industry 4.0. I can see IoT, the smart sensor system, advanced robotics, big data analytics, 3D printing, augmented reality, cloud computing, and location ready, that is GPS system. So these are the uh, things and are coming under Industry 4.0. Now let's see, or let's compare how this Industry 4.0 is shifting towards 5.0. What are the differences? Seemingly, they are having a close connection because we are just enter inside the Industry 5.0. And only after 20-30 years we could notice how far these 4 and 5 are different. Now we could see some differences from the perspectives of this automation technology. So these 3 pictures you can notice. From the first one, this the first left side is Industry 4.0, that is using cloud computing technology. Using cloud computing technology, a person researches by navigation system. From this, you can see from the first picture, using the cloud computing technology, a person is driving the car. If he wants to identify a place or if he wants to drive to a place, he can just type the desired place, and then that data will be taken to the cloud, and the cloud will respond him, and based on the response he can drive the car. So that is what we are witnessing in the GPS system. While driving the car, if you just press the desired place, then it can show you the route. So that is due to the cloud computing method. And the next one, a person analyzes information. You can see a person using the cloud computing technology analyzes for information. For example, he gathers some information which are in low level, which are in middle level, which are in high level. So he just mix up everything and he just go for analysis, and he just use some strategical methods or techniques, and finally he comes to the point and he is able to convey it. So there is a touch with cloud computing technology and the human in both of these activities. And also in the third, you can see in the robotics, the operator or the person is operating that robo machine by using the cloud technology, and he is giving the command is going to the cloud, and the clouder, otherwise the one who is controlling the system, is responding to that person, and the machine is responding eventually. So these are the strategies what we do and what we enjoy in Industry 4.5. Sorry, 4.0. Now, take all these 3 things in Industry 5.0, otherwise the Society 5.0. The Society 5.0 is coined by Japanese. I'll explain how this Society 5.0 is coming. Now, the first one, people using the GPS technology, now it is automatic driving. So the person who drives the car, he doesn't need to type any place or say to any place to the machine. And he no need to wait for the response from the machine. And he no need to wait for the cloud. So it is already in the big data, in the it is IA enabled. And the person is just talking, take me to the restaurant. He just named the restaurant. Then the computing system senses, then it directs the driving control, and automatically the car takes him to the particular restaurant. So there is no human interface or the retrieval response like that of clouding. So this is what people proposed in the Industry 5.0. And the next one, the person here is analyzing using the big data or the data from the source. But now here, the person is not at all analyzing. So the AI proposes a person. If he wants, for example, he wants to choose a manager for his company, he doesn't need to conduct the interview and collect all the data, and he doesn't need to collect the marks of the people, and he go for that one. So that is done by that machine that is using the artificial intelligence, because the data of the applicants have already stored in a line, and if he says the requirements, so his desirable manager will be proposed to him. So the AI proposes the person he desires. And the last one, automatic production machine. Here in 4.0, the man is requiring some information, or he is just interacting. Now here, there is no interaction. He is just commanding to the machine. Then eventually the machine is doing that. So this is the proposed idea of Society 5.0 proposed by the scientist. But let's see how it will work. And now this Industry 5.0 is already being spoken about and involves robots and smart machines allowing humans to work better and smarter. And even Ostergaard and the U industry says Industry 5.0 will make the factory a place where creative people can come and work to create a more personalized and human experience for workers and their customers. And by sorry, and by connecting the way in which man and machine work together, estimates say that the Industry 5.0 will mean that over 60% of manufacturing, logistics, and supply chains, agri-farming, and the mining, oil, gas sectors will employ chief robotics officers by 2025. So this is what the expectations of Industry 5.0. But I don't know how will it work, because already we are in the lockdown period and we are just using only the real-time communication. I don't know whether the human and machine interaction, luckily the machines are not spreading the coronavirus, but still that interaction is restricted to a larger amount. And how these predictions will work. The 60% may be vary, or the year 2025 may be prolonged. And this Industry 5.0 recommends for driverless cars with artificial intelligence, automated supermarkets run by collaborative robots, working without human supervision, and big data and IoT builds on broadband wireless internet connectivity, miniaturized sensors embedded in animate and inanimate objects, artificial intelligence and cobots making sense of big data collected by sensors. And here we can see how this is a solution of social problems by a system that highly integrates cyberspace and physical space. So that is the idea. So integrating the cyberspace with the physical space. The phenomena visualizes a forward-looking society and without information stagnation. So anybody can communicate with anybody. Anybody can buy anything. Anybody can do. If he is deserving, he can. No need to wait for anything. And especially the communication will not be a stagnation. But it won't be a hurdle for anybody at any part of the world. And now these considerations. So, so far we have been witnessing how this Industry 4 to 5 are moving, and how this linguistic knowledge or linguistic field or linguistic touch or experience could serve in this industry. So introducing scientific, technical, and computer-oriented models and knowledge aspects in all viable fields of linguistics. That's what we have to look for. And analyzing human language and investigate the possibilities of matching with machine language through linguistic insights. And the skills of translators, what is required now, as Samuelson Brown notes, among the skills that a translator needs to acquire in the 21st century, there is a whole cluster of IT skills, including mastering the hardware and software used in producing translations, electronic file management, and e-commerce. So here we have to admit that if we want to involve, the linguist wants to involve in this kind of industry, certain amount of computer-oriented skill is very much essential. And we have to equip ourselves, and we have to, what Professor Ramamurthy and Professor Devasundaram proposed in the lectures, we need to reorient the people in translation activities as well as in computational oriented activities also. And now the, the trending system of machine translation, that is called neural machine translation. So the neural machine translation is a machine translation approach that applies a large artificial neural network toward predicting the likelihood of a sequence of words, often in the form of whole sentences. So it is not like a statistical machine translation activity. So it is on the whole. Unlike statistical machine translation, which consumes more memory and time, neural machine translation trains its parts end to end to maximize performance. NMT systems are quickly moving to the forefront of machine translation, recently outcompeting the traditional forms of translation systems. So there is a great faith or a belief over this neural machine translation in the future course of the Industry 5.0. And most of the industries are preferring that one. When Google announced that they are preferring this one, ultimately all the rest of the companies followed that one. And this is the market size of the translation industry. We could notice from the 2009 to 2021, it's in 2009 it is just 17 or 18 billion US dollars. Now it is reaching up to 46 billion US dollars. So it is not just a knowledge, or it is a kind of industry. It is one of the biggest industries. Now the future of the neural machine translation, we could notice the recent advances in deep learning, also known as using the neural machine learning, has proven to achieve the state of the art results in machine translation. So the Google Translate announced they had made the full switch to neural machine, and we could notice the evolution of the machine translation. In the first phase, it is rule-based from 1954 to 1982. Then it shifted to statistical from 1993 to 2005. And from 2005 until recent days, it is a neural networking management system. And the feature of neural machine translation. State-of-art neural machine translation engines are now capable of instantly translating text with 60 to 90% accuracy. I don't know, but this is the information I gathered from a website. They no need to lie, but maybe they are exaggerating a little bit. But I put a question mark to that idea, whether it is possible or not. We linguists know how to reach that accuracy level to 90% by a machine. But the technology is not without its fault when put in practice for real world translation. Of course, they admit that also. And neural machine translation will likely continue to improve over time through better neural network architecture, better quality data, and more computation. This change in neural artificial intelligence technology will require human translators to adapt the benefits of the technology and focus on what humans are good at. So it is obvious that Google is recording tons and tons of human language samples and models to make this neural machine translation activities as a fair means or better one. They are working on it. We have to wait for the perfection, that one. Now I'll just pass to the important ideals of Industry 4.0 to 5.0. The IoT, that refers to the digital interconnection between any device to the internet. It is all about bringing objects to life through the power of internet and making them communicate through wireless protocols, domains and applications. Here, so IoT is changing the way we interact with products and how fast we perform tasks with them, and which demands for almost instantaneous communication. This instant communication not only needs to happen between machines, but also between devices and users. So there is a kind of human connection when we go for IoT things. So these are the IoT things you can see. There are about 20 billion IoT devices will be available by 2020. 20 billion means nearly 20,000 or 2,000. Okay, millions. So you can notice that here, why I just show this image is here. The person is speaking and the device is listening, and it translate and send to the machine. It may be air conditioner or TV or a washing machine or a cooking ware or a cleaning machine, whatever it may be. But here, the language he uses, out of 20 billion IoT devices in 2020, and how many machines are using the local languages or the languages other than English language? That is a big question. So here, the point I want to make is, if there is no translation in bilingual and multilingual levels, these 20 billion IoTs will just take up the mainstream language, that is English. What will happen? These are the utilities. These are the basic utilities. And if these basic utilities are utilized by the young generation, for example, young children, then they will lose their mother tongue on using these things. The machine is not going to interact with them in their mother tongue. So it is indirect way of inducing a language, but I don't know whether they are making it perfectly or not. Unless otherwise, the rest of the language people, for example, coming to the language ratio of Tamil, if we take out 7 billion people, we are just around 70 million people. That is nearly 1% of the global population, and 7 to 8% of the Indian population. And if we take a look at the language status on Indian, we will be in the 4th or 5th place. And in India, in the global level, we are at the 17th or 18th level, based on the number of speakers. But the question is, a language spoken by nearly 1%, if they are not having or taking any steps to include their mother tongue in utilizing these 20 billion, at least some amount of things in utilizing this IoT level, the next generation will have no idea about commanding these machines, and the language has to compromise. That is why I put the topic Industry 5.0, a man, machine, and language amalgamation in multilingual scenario. So including the multi-language in this IoT is not a great problem, because here the problem of translating the things and commands in semantics is not constrained, syntax is not constrained, pragmatics is not a constraint, because we are not translating or we are not using any high-level linguistic components in voice commanding of these kind of IoT things technically. So it is very simple and easy way. At this juncture, it is the duty of the linguist to include these multilingual chipsets or multilingual programs in IoT, and thereby at least we can make the next generation, the younger generation, command the machines through their mother tongue, and thereby we can safeguard our language. Thank you. And the next one, these are the things what are proposed by IoT. And you can notice almost all regular commodities, which are integral part of human being. We cannot escape by using this one. And if we compromise commanding our TV or washing machine through just other language, that will prevail forever. I don't know, the LG company was using Tamil language to command changing the channels in the TV sets some 10 years ago. But now I don't know the state or fate of this voice command by LG machine company. Right. And the next one is deep learning. Deep learning is an artificial intelligence function that mimics the workings of the human brain in processing the data for use in detecting objects, recognizing speech, translating languages, and making decisions. And Google search engine, voice recognition system, and self-driving cars all rely heavily on deep learning. And they have used deep learning networks to build a program that picks out an attractive still from YouTube video to use a thumbnail. You could notice that every day I used to upload all the videos. No, I don't upload. It is already there. It is on live now. After completing the lecture, if I just notice that Google automatically select a thumbnail for the 1.5 hours video, it is able to choose a thumbnail, that is a picture. The first day picture was Professor Karnagaran because he was in the picture, in the still picture for several occasions. So that deep learning helped the YouTube to fix the thumbnail as the picture of the Professor Karnagaran because he should be the pioneering or key person. So that knowledge that deep learning made in YouTube. I don't know whose picture will come today because so many people were interacting. So it takes some analogical idea and that works in several occasions. And this is a simple revolution or evolution from artificial intelligence to deep learning. And starting from 1950s to 1980s, this artificial, but of course, all these three are having the equal role still now, but the shift or the advantages are additions in these functions. That is what differentiating. Artificial intelligence started, then machine learning, and now in deep learning. And the next one is cloud computing, the computer technology that uses the internet network to provide software and hardware resources remotely. Cloud computing service is supplied by specific companies called cloud providers, which handle the resource allocation and eventually even the complete management of the service. So these are all controlled by companies. The cloud computing also very fastly growing industry. And cloud-based translation, and this is another service most of the companies are providing now. Rather than creating or translating the translators, the service networks are doing that job. Cloud-based translation is used to enhance functionality or increase capacity without incurring increased costs, such as that of training in-house staff, and they are just doing that from their companies itself. And cloud-based translation is translation performed using a cloud-based server. So they just need a server, and the server is the master. With that server, they are able to do that process for everybody. Instead of training 10 companies or 10 people, they can just use one machine to do the service. So this is a cloud-based translation service now. So there is a great threat for the translators. For example, if there are 100 translators needed at one company, if the cloud-based translation system is equipped with fine corpus with wonderful neural networking system, and that machine can do the job of the 100 translators. So it is a threat to the human work labor also. And this one I just made just for to sum up. Machine translation is still nowhere near the standard of human translation. That we have to admit, and everybody knows. So we cannot feel happy, or we no need to worry about that one, because machines are growing. That means technology is growing, and people are using newer technologies. And there will be a day to disprove this statement, not in near future, but it may take quite a long time. Until then, we have to use our human sources to go for policing or doing the post-translation works and touch-up works. And just I show you just day before yesterday, I took a couple of screenshots from 4 translation companies. You can see a simple sentence that is one of the popular translation company that is called Yandex. The sentence is, I just typed, he ran over the bridge, and then that response is, our meedu odi palam. So we don't consider that one. Then next, Google Translate, and then our palathin mel odinar, that is acceptable. And the next one from Microsoft, avan palathin mel odinan. So culturally, there are some issues. I don't know how we will make. And then my memory, this from the lab, it shows our palathin mel odinar. So this is the present state of translation activities. And Google is using this neural machine translation method. And our meedu palam, these people, I don't know, maybe they are using the word-to-word translation. And my memory is also using this neural machine translation, and also Microsoft, but I don't know why still it is not taking the deep learning. I think the deep learning is not working in Microsoft. So finally, the feature of machine translation and the use of machine translation with the human post editing will increase. So the more number of machine translation will induce the more number of post editing works, and more companies will decide to globalize. Yeah, they are in the pipeline, and video localization will experience with high growth. So that is the possibility for the future generation in 5.0. So this is my simple explanation on my understanding over Industry 5.0 and translation. And this is the evolution of translation, started from 1980s in the industry focus. We use documents, software, snipset, integration, and then embedded every app on every screen, and ubiquitous in 2030. And type of content, paper, digital, static web, dynamic web, personalized, and unlimited. So in language also we could notice less than 10, less than 25, 40, 60, 60, and now it is 150 global language. And technology none, we could notice the high-fi technology. And data, we could need, we could say the plug and play. And so all these lead to sophistication of the human life. So all kinds of inventions and creations, and not just in computation and translation, in every creation, they all for the betterment and sophistication of human life. And also there is a great demand and need for linguistics in the translation industry, especially in the 5.0. And with this, I just conclude this webinar, and I have to give time for our registrar to provide the well-dictators. And thank you very much for your understanding. And if you have any queries, please, or you can interact with any of the ideas here.
Yes, please. If you have any queries, you can go ahead.
May I?
Please go ahead, sir.
Dr. Subramaniam, thank you very much for the long lecture on translation, because first half was known to me. I'm frank, okay? Second half, I have been introduced to a lot of things I have learned today, and I know I am ignorant of a lot of things. Thank you very much for leading a way to me. Really, I feel I have to learn a lot because of this presentation. The part of machine translation, etc. I was not interested, rather. That's all, because my area is different. Today, I feel I have to learn a lot. And then there is only one query.
Yes,
and when you talk about phonology, morphology, etc., in the slides, phonology you have mentioned rhyme, rhythm, alliteration, etc. Am I right? Do you follow me? When you talk about phonology, you mentioned rhyme, rhythm, alliteration, etc. But those are all literary features, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Literary features. But I was thinking that something else can also be added. What do you feel? This is not a question. This is my doubt. Because only features of the literatures are added, rhyme, rhythm, etc. But the phonology deals something more also, isn't it? That's all.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Whether I'm right or wrong, I do not know.
No, no.
Because from the slides, I could understand like that.
Rhythm is part of phonology.
Actually, sir, that definition for phonology is while we translation, while we go for translation, we consider these features also. So the linguistic features is one point. All these features, for example, rhyme, alliteration, assonance, consonants. When we translate, for example, Papa Patu, or when we translate one rhyme from the Western rhyme into Tamil rhyme, we just no need to consider the meaning. Also, we need to consider the rhyme scheme.
Okay.
So that is what I intended to convey in that one.
Okay. I don't know. I don't say anything wrong, but because these are all features of a poetry and not a text, not a prose text. Am I right?
Yeah.
Prose,
Yeah,
perhaps
but
you don't bother much about these things.
yeah. So
That's
while we go for versatile translation from one text to another text, in the meaning sense we can transform. But coming to the point of extra linguistic features and these kinds of the rhyme scheme and the patterns and all these things also to be considered, because
Yeah,
we
definitely.
notice in the globally the McDonald's songs are almost in all the regional languages, and most of the songs from the Christian perspectives, I mean the church songs, we could notice the same kind of tempo we could follow. That's what I was considering that time.
Okay. That's right. Good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
What happened to our friends? Perhaps our Ravi Shankar didn't come. Otherwise, he would have initiated these things.
Yeah. Maybe he was busy.
Yeah, it's fine. Like it looks like nobody has got any questions anymore. And since we are running out of time, Dr. Subbu, shall we wind up?
So researcher is already logged
Looks like.
If he's online, then we will go for.
Now, before that,
in the middle, some information came from registrar. I didn't read that.
Yeah. Until then, we can go for
Yeah, because he wanted something. I don't know. Registrar to open the chat box. Yeah, something is there in the chat box. You see from registrar.
Oh, the registrar has chatted. I need your presented materials and congratulations. You are presenting very well. Oh, the registrar is online now. I guess I can.
Okay.
So good evening, sir. I have a doubt, sir.
Yes, Brahma. Yes, please.
The IoT Internet of Things, no, sir. So is it directly impacting the translation, or is it just a small part of it, or I have this doubt, sir.
Yeah, it is translation activities, based on the translation that works, because we give voice command to that machine, and that voice command is taken to the networking, and the networking is conveying to the machine, then the machine is reacting. In case if there is any troubleshoot, or if the machine wants to convey anything, then it will send the default language system, and then we listen, and again we are going to communicate from our own language. So there is a good amount of translation.
Thank you, sir. Many thanks, sir.
Dr. Subramani.
Yes, sir.
வணக்கம். So, okay, of course, this is it's a facilitating computer in terms of applying linguistic principles, and I think that is what I understood mean to computational linguistics. So whatever, for the past 4 days, I make my presence regularly almost. So the issues which we discussed, and the arguments, and a lot of intellectual verbals went on with culture and social, and the replacement activities, whatever that shortcomings we faced when we translate from a language to another language and all. But today's lecture is concerned, the way which you presented is of course very dynamic and energetic too. And it made me actually so that I don't know what they mean in the new education policy. They wanted to add one more faculty, that is a translation and interpretation. So what they actually intended to lead this faculty, probably this, as you said, that overcoming the industrial revolution by challenging the application of translations, the process theories. So how to make all these issues, as you said, that so unless, because it is a matter of conversion through the binary digits from human to machine. So how it is possible to, because the NIDA, the translation is not only the transferring graphology and phonology of the language, but also includes sense and culture. So all these theoretical issues, how we can overcome with the system, because system is ready to access whatever the full things, even if we give to instruct to the system to understand. But in such a case, of course, how dare these people, because what they have there in their mind, I mean, this corporate people, what they are having in their mind to achieve in terms of this, handling translation things to the trade side. So all those things, of course, the exposition, by made us realize the lot of hopes to go ahead with a positive steps towards the development of economic and intelligence growth. But these are all, I think, it is something challenging still, because your
Yeah.
entire
Of course,
presentation shows that.
you are right.
Entire your presentation shows that. Of course, the people, most of them are just, I don't know why they kept quiet. It is, of course, it is a theoretical base, but it has a lot of, keys, a lot of things one supposed to think a lot towards the journey of translation for future. So these are the little points I realized in
Thank
your
you for your understanding. Yeah.
presentation. Very good presentation. Since it is a final end note of the series, this series webinar. So you have consolidated a lot of things, and finally you end with technological purview. So that is good. But another thing I would like to let you consider, the point which I am going to put forth here is, you can invite all them, as you said, that after getting rid of this global lockdown, when we come to the real time, you can invite all of them. And as you just shared with me your future proposal, that inviting all the people and organizing the workshop, and we'll have to discuss a lot of things. So translation is the field where everybody, any of the people, discipline people can involve and exchange their views and ideas, because a lot of things, since it is a matter of uh, for two languages, right? So you can, when you
Yeah, sure,
organize
sure.
your workshop and all,
Thank you.
you can invite everybody, so that we
Thank you.
can discuss and share in live. So thank you very much, Dr. Subbu. So getting
Thank you,
everybody
sir. Thank you
involved.
for your wonderful
Thank you very
understanding.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
As I mentioned, so after this lockdown is over, I'm going to organize a very wonderful workshop, exclusively inviting all the translators
Yes, yes.
and linguists. And we need to discuss a lot of things. For example, there are some little things seemingly very simple and trivial, but they have a deep note on the language system. When a child wants, you just go and buy a toy. The toy is playing a Chinese song or English song, no Indian song. We have, the role of nearly 1 billion people, 1.2 billion people in India, and no toy is playing the Indian song. Very sad note on it. So it is very simple. There is one chipset, small processor is inside. If we can just record our own song, that will do a lot of things. And we are not able to make it up. And almost all the television sets and the computers and all the other stuff, they are just now having only the voice command in the English language. A very, very sad note on it. So translation is not just in the word. It has to be involved in all kinds of production-based electronic of, commodities and utilities in daily need and daily use. So we will see the possibilities. We will send the recommendations, and let's work together with the industrialists also. So there are two sides in translation, otherwise a dichotomy. One is a formal translation put forth by the linguists and literarians, which is not compromising in the terms of language sense. The other one is technical sense, which is used only for just communicating with the machines or just to understand. There, we don't have any kind of literary sense or pragmatic sense. And there, the people are compromising the literarians and linguistics, and they just do in their own way. And what it happens, that development is faster compared to literarians and the linguistic researchers, and the advancements in technology is very fast, very fast. So many things we couldn't imagine that. And everything is moving towards the technology 5, 4, like that. So the true sense of literature and the essence of the language will be lost. So to safeguard that one and to safeguard the languages of the regional levels, we need to involve ourselves to translate or at least find the equivalence in the technical side also. So that we will see the possibilities. That is the true idea I intended to organize this conference, and we will go for some workshops also in future, and we will suggest the policy makers. And thanks to the new education policy that they are now understanding the importance of a translator, and they are going to appoint at least one translator in every institution. That will be a nice one. And by using these translation techniques and more translation works and communication, we can preserve the language. Now, India is a standing country for multilingual and multicultural. And unless otherwise, we give the priority for the people, the minority people and the indigenous language people to utilize the things in their mother tongue, for sure that language will disappear very soon. The technology will supersede the language one day. That will happen to all the rest of the language. So the translation should be given due importance to safeguard the language and to save the language from endangerment also. Thank you, Dr. Salud.
Fine, thank you, thank you.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
I am not
I wanted to say something.
Yes,
sir.
Are you able to hear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
And talking about the neural machine translation.
Yes, sir.
And which is a development of machine translation. Yes. In the machine translation, we have the linearity, single linearity. Here we have the multi-layered analytical system. Neural network.
We couldn't listen to you, sir.
Multilinear. Hello, கேக்குதா?
Sir, சரியா கேட்க மாட்டேங்குது sir.
Sir, a little more louder, please.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Please speak little bit louder.
Yeah. Are you able to hear?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. In the neural machine translation, we have a multi-layered system of translation technology, and in the machine translation we have single linear system. And in what way these linguistic issues we have faced earlier are solved by the multi-layered neural machine network? All the problems which we already discussed, linguistic problems, are taken care of by the multi-layered system, whether it is successful in that?
No, sir. I don't think that the problems are solved now.
But there is a provision for technological provision for including multi-layered informations.
Sir.
Yeah, that is possible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, technology is ready now. But
yes, sir.
Yeah,
that we can admit.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I think, sir, in future, I know Google is collecting a lot number of data nowadays, and they are just storing one by one. At one point of time, for example, any language speaker, for example, in Tamil language, how many maximum number of expressions can be done?
Yeah.
For example, 70 million people are using the language, and it won't be a great task for the Google big data analysis to store all the expressions. And apart from the expressions, how many expressions are acceptable, meaning in fine meaning making, like that. And based on that, they can come to the third layer, fourth layer, like that. They are also working on that. And in near future, there won't be a kind of a nonsensical expression from computer perspective. At least we can trust and believe that one. Computer expression will be more refined in future, that we can expect. And still they are working at technology, how it is going to take up. And now this neural machine translation that takes some of the decision, they are wise based on the analytics. They are taking some wise decisions.
No, my point here is that is whether the linguistic issues like the what you call pragmatics, world knowledge, world view, and all these things.
No,
unless
no,
we give, whether we have already, we are not ourselves are not found any clue for
no way,
linguistic point of view.
We have to feed in. It is in the hands of linguists and literarians.
Yeah,
so the pragmatics and cultural translations, cultural points,
world
that
view.
is, everything is in the hands of the particular linguist and the literarians and the particular indigenous speaker only. So the
that
machine
knowledge
cannot.
has to be, that knowledge we have to give. Knowledge,
Yes,
and
sir.
also the linguistic, how it is reflected in the linguistic units.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your
Thank you.
answer.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So, Dr. Ramesh?
Yes, Dr. Subramaniam, yeah.
Yeah, yes, sir.
So done with the questions?
It's only to say that now Google was telling that there is no need of linguists, isn't it? Now we arrive at a conclusion that, for example, culture, dialectology, pragmatic, etc., they need, perhaps, that's my opinion, they need the role of linguistics.
Of course,
so
sir.
we have to focus much on these points now, rather than on the language. The language, anyway, they will make a translation of these things by whatever is the method. But pragmatics, they fail. The culture, they fail. Dialectology, dialectal features, if we take, there also they cannot do that. So they still linguists has a role. And we have a role to play. That we will insist, we will work on that. That's all my request, not a question or suggestion.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Now, Dr. Shanmugam has come, Professor has come. He wants to say something.
Subramaniam?
Sir?
Yes. You have presented a nice paper.
Thank you, sir.
On historical principles, how these revolutions, different type of revolutions have taken place, etc. Okay, that's a nice presentation. It is an overall presentation. Now, one thing we have to keep in mind is the linguists are artistic people, whereas those people who are working in machines are mathematical people. They are concerned with abstractions, and linguists are very much interested in concrete type of things. And whatever thing the machine translation people were trying to establish, if it is given in an understandable form, then only the linguist can capture, and he will be in a position to feed whatever they require. And all the type of translations we are talking about in machine, for example, you have a rule-based and the other type of things, and everything we are saying that neural network works actually. But the people who are working on neural networks, the people who are working on machine translation, they are not actually telling the linguist or telling the common man in an understandable way what actually they are doing, and in what form the language should be given, and in what way the machine does this work. All these things are considered to be a black box for a linguist, because linguist is very much interested in telling things in a concrete way. Whereas the other one involves abstraction, and even that abstraction, if it is presented in a concrete form, the other people can get some kind of information from the linguist. So that kind of, the relationship is not existing. That kind of give and take policy is not there. And that is the reason why we are not actually getting any kind of progress from the linguistic side. Of course, they may be doing something with the help of machine, etc. But unless that know-how, that kind of techniques, that kind of practice is given to a certain extent in an understandable way, they can get the benefit from the linguist. Otherwise, the linguist will be always talking about the problems only, right? So your second part actually, and you have finally made a mention that the machine people also should be invited, integrated with us, so that we will be able to make this translation faster or progress in such a way so that both the linguists as well as the common man and the technologists will have the benefits. So that is what I want to say. And you have made a last point that such type of integration is expected. You also have felt that one, and you have expressed that one. That is all what I wanted to say. Okay.
Thank you,
One is
sir.
artistic, other one is mathematical. So
Okay.
abstraction and concrete. That gap has to be filled up. Otherwise, translation will not progress from the linguistic side, and from the machine side also. They will be go on changing a lot of things. So that is a problem. That is the gap between these two type of people. So that has to be rectified. That is my contention. Okay.
Sure,
Thank you.
sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your understanding suggestion.
Subramanian, shall I add one more thing to this point?
Please,
Yeah.
sir, please.
Uh, Sorry to disturb again and again, but
Oh, no, sir.
sometimes it comes now. No, why don't you ask some of our younger linguists to get translate from Google some of the dialectal features. For example, K. Rajanarayan's or Neela Padmanabhan's or something like that. Lot of original novels are there. Ask them to get translate it from Google. We will find out the problems, and we will have the solution for it. For example, in the Kanyakumari dialect, our dialect, we say "appa tatla irukkarar." Okay. When you give this sentence to a Google translator, how will it translate? "Appa tatla irukkarar." Okay. These are all problems we know, but what's the problem the Google translator faces? That's what I wanted to take it, because that's not my area. Otherwise, I would have done that. Some of our linguists, junior linguists, should do these things. Okay, and let us bring out the problem, then get the solution for that. What do you say, Dr. Professor Shanmugam?
Yeah, you're right.
They can take a
And even
small little.
one more point I would like to add. For example, the other day, Muthukrishna's paper, it was a theoretical type of paper. He was pointing out that there is an intermediate type of language or text, whatever it may be, in the mind, etc. When Chomsky actually presented the concept of intuition, all the psychologists, they wanted to verify whether it is a psychological reality or not. And once you prove that there is some kind of psychological reality that is in between the source language and the target language, in the mind there is one kind of language. If at all you want to prove, you have to prove the psychological validity of that. And for that, you should conduct some kind of experiments. Now, I have some notions about them, but right now I don't have anything. But you have to prove the psychological reality of that intermediate type of language. For example, he had taken the intermediate language from the applied linguistic side. You have interlanguage, and in the contact situation also you have pidgin and Creole. This type of, all of them have some form, and the form is established already. For example, interlanguage in language teaching means it is established. There are several techniques. There are several ways through which you can establish that such a language exists. So in that way, this type of mental language also has to be established as a psychological reality. intuition was, I know some psychologists, now the names are not coming, and Chomsky presented that there is something called grammaticality, something called intuition, etc. Many people were actually wanted to prove the psychological reality of the such structures. And likewise, if the psychological reality of the intermediate language in translation could be established with some methods, then this is a very nice theoretical point. So how this mind as well as the language interaction is there, we can understand. So this I wanted to present the other day, but a lot of discussions were going on, so I have this thing. So in that way, on the whole, I find that all the papers, they are coming out with some kind of new ideas, new interpretations, new techniques, etc. Likewise, this machine also translation, if it is brought out with some kind of concrete thing, so that linguists can contribute to that. Even for example, the spell checker, etc. There are different methods. The linguists, if they are given some kind of training, they will be able to point out how, where the combinations occur, where they do not occur, etc. They can say. But such type of technological give and take policy is not there. So if that happens, then Tamil situation will improve and we can go further. So that is my humble suggestion. Okay, thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Sir, I would like to add one more thing, sir. Can I?
Yeah, tell me, sir.
Yeah. And I think there are two aspects of linguistic studies. One is what are the linguistic units available, what aspect of language. Another is the way use of the how the language is used. That is another aspect. But generally, this what aspect is what we are doing in linguistics. We take care of the human language, this grammar or a linguistic study, it's meant for humans, not for machines. But when it comes to technology, the technology requires the how also. Because it cannot understand, the human can understand without the machine by being brought up and his exposure and other things. But the machine cannot do that. That how aspect we have to concentrate, whether linguists can do anything for that. And whether that is we have found out several linguistic components like phonology, morphology, syntax, and all these things, semantics. But what about the pragmatics and other things? In such a way, we have to do it in such a way that we have to feed it to the machine. The machine must be able to understand that how aspect is not covered, because we are not worried so far, because it is concerned with the machines. Because whatever we are discussing is only with humans, we need not bother. We didn't bother about it so far. But when it is, for example, same problem we will face when we teach the second language. Suppose the culture or to some extent, but being human, they will easily adapt to the human language. But the machine cannot do it unless you give everything, every aspect of it. Though the culture is different, but once he understands, he will easily, or to some extent, he will be able to adapt to the first language. But the machine cannot do it. Machine, we have to feed it. The how aspect is what is lacking, and I feel that we have to think about it. That is what is my suggestion, sir. Thank you very much. And very nice program. I enjoyed it for yesterday. Mr. Subramaniam, congratulations. Very nice.
Thank you, sir. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Ramesh, you can bring a register,
Yeah, before that part of the ceremony, I would like to, if the questions are being done, let me thank Dr. Subramaniam for his wonderful enlightenment speech regarding the scope of translation and industry technologies in Industry 5.0 of 5.0. In fact, our Vice Chancellor is encouraging all of us into move into this aspect 5.0, and I feel that it's the need of this hour where Subramaniam has picked up the right topic, and he has really enlightened us with a lot of inputs in theoretical aspects as well as industrial movement and need and role of linguists in Industry 5.0. And also He has discussed many ideas about the machine translations and the challenges in the machine translations, and of course, which is one obstacle which has been always been talked about is the cultural aspect. So, which Dr. Nadaraj Pillai also mentioned regarding that, where how a linguist has to play his role in this cultural as well as the dialectal side. So on the whole, thank you very much for your wonderful sharing, Dr. Subramaniam. Now let's move on to our next part of the session, the valedictory function of this day. If let's see, Dr. Murugan sir has come in. Thank you one and all. Good evening.
Thank you, Dr. Ramesh. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Ramesh, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Silva.
So our reserve will come and join with us in a few minutes. Please stay with us, and we will begin the validatory function in a short while.
Dr. Subramaniam, since
Sir,
since there is a time, just I want to suggest something.
Okay,
like
sir, please.
Like the same topic you have taken for translation, you can choose some other topic which for 5-6 lectures. I mean, series of lectures on single topic or domain, for example. Okay, so that everybody, all the students and researchers will be benefited by this. Like this translation, you can have. I would like to suggest some applied side also.
Yeah.
Maybe lexicography or something like that.
This is the longest lecture, sir. This is the longest lecture.
Yeah.
Because there was no conference or seminar conducted on translation for a long time. So, and also it is a need of the hour. And moreover, it seems 10 days lecture, but only 10 lectures.
Yeah, that's right.
For example, if we conduct the regular seminar, in one day we could listen 5-10 lectures in a single day.
Yeah.
But in the next series we will just have not more than 5 days. So 10 days is a bit long, And the next topics will just carry over only 5 days, so that we can,
you can
have more number of topics per
for a week, Monday to Friday, you can have some topics related to which are beneficial for our students.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Rather. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So for most probably next week we will plan on lecture, and the only problem is our students will have the classes in the morning, and if they have the classes and they have to attend for nearly 2 hours, even if it is 1 hour lecture, it will lead up to 2 hours.
That online tutorial is till 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock? Subha?
சொல்லுங்க.
ஆன்லைன் டியூட்டோரியல் அது என்ன 1 மணி வரைக்குமா இல்ல எப்படி 1 o'clock
இல்ல
வரைக்குமா?
ஆக்சுவலி the duration is 1 hour. அது லாகின் ஆகிறதுக்கு எல்லாரும் லாகின் ஆகிறதுக்கு 15 minutes ஆயிடுது. அப்புறம் முடிக்கும் போது 15 minutes அதிகமாயிடுது. It is 1.5 hours. So 2 classes per day. அப்படின்றப்ப their data will be lost. So more than 3 hours in online classes is bit difficult. But originally it is 2 hours lecture, but it consumes 3 hours data.
Okay.
So that is the problem we are facing. So otherwise, organizing the webinar is very simple. We can all come together. Every day we will have some lectures.
Yeah. This is one way. It is good to save the money. Even a single tea we are not getting. You don't have to pay. வைவாவசி அப்படியே நடக்குது எல்லாம்.
Subramanian, எப்படி இது you have summarized all those things or have a report?
ரிப்போர்ட் நாங்க அனுப்புறோங்க தனியா ஒரு இதுல
அனுப்புங்க. அப்புறம் பவர் பிபிடி எல்லாம் கொஞ்சம் அனுப்புனீங்கன்னா யூஸ்ஃபுல்லா இருக்கும் பார்ட்டிசிபென்ட்.
அனுப்புறோம்.
சாரோடது சண்முகம் ராமமூர்த்தி பிபிடி எது இருக்கு அதெல்லாம் அனுப்புனீங்கன்னா
இந்த லெக்சர்ஸ் எல்லாமே யூடியூப்ல இருக்குதுங்க. நான் அதை எடிட் பண்ணி நான் போடுறேன். அதுக்கு இப்போ டைம்ல
பிபிடி ஐ அம் ஆஸ்கிங் தி பிபிடி இட் வில் பீ யூஸ்ஃபுல்.
பிபிடினா ஸ்லைட் ஷேர்ல போட்டு நான் வேணா ஷேர் பண்ணிடலாம்.
ஆமா கொஞ்சம் ஷேர் பண்ணீங்கன்னா இட் வில் பீ யூஸ்ஃபுல் ஃபார் आवर ஸ்டூடண்ட்ஸ் ஆல்சோ.
ஷேர் பண்ணிடலாம். லெக்சர் as well as பிபிடி ரெண்டையுமே வந்து
சார் வந்துட்டாரு. ஓகே थैंक यू. வணக்கம் சார். வணக்கம் ஐயா.
மதுரையில அன்னைக்கு பார்த்தது.
ஆமா சார் மதுரையில பார்த்தது. வணக்கம்.
மதுரையில அன்னைக்கு வந்து நம்ம அந்த இது காஃபி ஷாப்ல பார்த்தோம்.
ஆமா சார் காபி ஷாப்ல பார்த்தது.
சார் வணக்கம் சார். செல்வகுமார் பேசுறேன். வணக்கம்
செல்வகுமார்.
தலைவா நல்லா இருக்கீங்களா? நீங்களா ரொம்ப பெரிய ஆளு
சார். சொல்லுங்க சார்.
உங்களுக்கு எல்லாம் நாங்க வர முடியுமா பக்கத்துல? ரைட் ஆரம்பிச்சலாம் டாக்டர். ஆரம்பிச்சலாம்.
Very good evening to one and all present here. It's the back end of our session, and for the whole series of sessions, this is the 10th day. I'm enlightened to welcome you one and all present here, and let me thank our Vice Chancellor, sir, on behalf of our department for giving us this opportunity to conduct these webinar sessions. Whenever we went and approached him for the same, he was wholeheartedly giving us all the permissions, and from his side, he has given us everything. And of course, and Dr. Murugan sir is always with us for any kind of help as far as the department academic activities are concerned. I thank you, Dr. Murugan sir and our Vice Chancellor, sir, for their support. And today's evening, for the valedictory, Dr. Murugan sir has agreed upon giving the valedictory address. Thank you for your wonderful and your valuable time, Murugan sir. Maybe due to some academic assignments, I think he was a bit late. Anyhow, I welcome all the participants and all the senior most linguists and legends who are in this session right now. Thank you one and all for joining us for this evening as part of our program on the title Amalgamation of Man, Machine and Language in Contemporary Translation Activities, Approaches on Bilingual and Multilingual Perspectives. So this 10-day session had been very wonderful and very informative, and it was a good sharing by all the speakers, and we have almost covered all the part of translation, especially the machine translation is concerned. And today's talk was about 5.0, where Dr. Subramaniam has given a wonderful eye-opening for today's need of the hour. And let me welcome Dr. Murugan sir again and thank him for all the support from the administrative side. And let's get along with the valedictory address from Dr. Murugan sir. Sir, please.
Very good evening. Very good evening to everybody. First of all, I wish to thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. P. Kaliraj has inaugurated this particular 10-day webinar on amalgamation of man, machine, and language in contemporary translation activities, approaches on bilingual and multilingual perspectives. At this context, first of all, I wish to thank Professor Dr. Subramaniam, the head of the Department of Linguistics, and my dear friend Dr. Ramesh. He is also a faculty member as well as PRO of our university. And also at this context, first of all, I wish to thank and I salute Dr. K. Karunagaran, former Vice Chancellor, Tamil University, Tanjavur, and now he is an emeritus scientist and mentor professor from Bharatiyar University. And also I thank Dr. Subramaniam again, Dr. Sundarbalu, Dr. Ramesh, Dr. Vijayan, Dr. Sankar Ganesh from the Department of Linguistics, Bharatiyar University, as well as the experts, professors, Dr. Segar Das and Dr. Parameswari, Hyderabad, University of Hyderabad, and Dr. Rajendran from Amita Viswavidyapitham, Coimbatore, Dr. Umarani, Professor cum Deputy Director, Central Institute of Indian Languages, Mysore, and my dear friend Dr. Muthukrishnan sir, former Frozen Head, Department of Linguistics, my quite old friend. And also I wish to thank Dr. Shanmugam, former professor and head, Department of Linguistics, Bharatiyar University, Dr. Ramamurthy, Linguistic Data Consortium, Indian Languages, that is Central Institute of Indian Languages, Mysore, and the foreign experts like Louis Y. Ling from Department of Malaysian Languages and Applied Linguistics, Faculty of Languages and Linguistics from University of Malaya. And really I am very happy, and really I hear that many participants have participated for 10 days program, and I personally congratulated Dr. Subramaniam sir. Is routinely organizing many conferences, and also he is a well-known linguistics and English professor in this region, and also he had a very good experience in Chinese universities. And Dr. PRO Dr. Ramesh also, he was there at Oman for many years, and he taught the different ethnic group from all over the world. So that at this context, really I am very happy to participate in this conference. And the Department of Linguistics, Bharatiyar University is my own university. I had put 30 years. I was with all our colleagues, and we are happily moving. And the whatever may be the learning of languages is very, very important, because and if you are knowing one language, it is a good, and if you are knowing that is a two languages, still good. If you are learning multilingual this one perspective, still it is a very, very easy to attract people, easy to attract scientists, and we can thrive wherever you go. So that language is a very, very important. It is an important vehicle to move it. So that I congratulate once again my colleague Dr. Subramaniam and his colleagues have done a wonderful job for conducting this kind of informations. And also he talked about industry 4.0 and 5.0 in a technical manner. So that I am very happy, and I congratulate, I thank one and all for this conference. Thank you once again. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Nandri vanakkam.
Thank you, Professor.
Nandri vanakkam. So, Nandri vanakkam. Thank you, sir. Bilingual. Thank you, sir. Vanakkam, vanakkam, vanakkam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, sir, so now it's my duty to.
Sir, Dr. Subramaniam sir, unga material வேணும் கொஞ்சம் எனக்கு அனுப்பிச்சு கொடுங்க. நீங்க பிரசன்ட் பண்ண மெட்டீரியல்.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Vanakkam, sir.
Thank you, sir. It's my duty to thank formally all the people. So, what are thanks, sir?
Please go ahead, sir. Go ahead. No problem, sir.
At the outset, I'm very happy indeed to thank our Vice Chancellor of Bharatiya University, Professor P. Kaliraj, who graciously permitted us to conduct this webinar program for 10 days in the department, inviting the linguistic expert from all over the world. And thanks to our registrar, who is always having an amicable personality and a very good friend and having a great enthusiasm towards the Department of Linguistics. Every time we welcome him, he always used to visit us and he encourages to a larger extent and he helps us in all walks of personal and academic life. And I thank you, sir, for your wonderful presence here and your note on the valedictory function. And it's my humble job to thank the key person behind this 10-day webinar series. To begin with, the first professor, the only one who is well familiar to all the linguists of all over the world, Professor Dr. K. Karnagaran, sir, who just inaugurated this event on 28th of September. And followed by that, he delivered a wonderful lecture on the role of translation and its significance in multilingual and multicultural context. And Professor Karnagaran elaborated a lot of details on the cultural translation in multilingual perspectives. And thanks to Dr. Karnagaran for his wonderful support and his lecture on the inaugural day. And thank you, sir. And next, Dr. Niladri Das from Kolkata. And he made a wonderful speech on the lexical issues and the challenges involved in manual and machine translation. That was on 29th of September. And Professor Niladri Das is a versatile professor in corpus linguistics and language technology. And he was able to enlighten a large crowd who has very limited idea about the corpus collection and corpus linguistics. And Professor Niladri Das made a wonderful speech and it was welcomed by almost all the participants. Thanks to Dr. Niladri Das. And followed by that, Dr. K. Parameswari, the alumni of our department, the young guy, and who made a wonderful presentation on machine translation, handling cross-linguistic variations using divergence index. She made a wonderful lecture to the budding linguist with very great insight. Thanks to Dr. K. Parameswari. And followed by that on 1/10/2020, Dr. S. Rajendran, the senior most professor of linguistics, got retired from the Tamil University of Tanjavur. Presently, he is working in Amrita Vidyalaya, Viswadeep and Coimbatore. And professor made a speech on word sense disambiguation of Tamil in machine translation. That was well echoed by all the participants. Thanks to Dr. S. Rajendran for his valuable time spent on that particular day. And next, Dr. P. Umarani, the alumni of our department, the notable linguist who had a very wonderful experience all over the world. And she made a very nice speech on semantics and pragmatics in the context of translation, which was very much pertinent to this topic of this webinar. And followed by that, the senior most professor, Dr. L. Ramamurthy, the former head Linguistic Data Consortium of Indian Languages, Mysore, presented a very nice and pertinent topic on issues in shallow parsing Tamil-English machine translation. So which was very pertinent and lead to wonderful discussion on various issues. Professor Ramamurthy was able to enlighten the importance of linguistics at the present juncture. And he made a wonderful...
Sir, Dr. Selvakumar, I have forgotten, sir, our friend, our earlier colleague, Dr. Selvakumar. That ivaru nama cap potirukara avaru yarunga sir, nama per marandita.
Umaraj, Dr. Umaraj.
Dr. Umaraj and Dr.
Thank you very much, sir.
Selvakumar, kindly excuse me, sir, so that I have not mentioned your name.
Problem, sir.
It is by mistake. It is by mistake. I accept that. Really, I must thankful for seeing your faces, sir. Both of you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sorry, sir. Vanakkam, sir.
Nandri, sir.
Vanakkam.
Thanks to Dr. Ramamurthy. And Professor Ramamurthy is appointed by our Bharatiya University as a mentor professor, and he is part of our department. And thanks to our Professor Ramamurthy, and we congratulate him for his new appointment in the Department of Linguistics as mentor professor. He will be as mentor professor here for another 3 years, and we are expecting a lot more help from him. And his amicable personality and his friendly touch with our department and people are really noteworthy. Thanks for his wonderful time and presentation on 5th of October. And followed by that, my professor and mentor, Professor C. Sanmugam, another mentor professor of our department. He also invited by the Bharatiya University Department of Linguistics as mentor professor, and he also will be serving as mentor professor for another 3 years. And Professor Sanmugam sir, no need to say anything because he is widely known to everybody, and he is such a nice person who has made a wonderful contribution on linguistics, especially in semantics and structural linguistics. Thanks to our professor for enlightening us with the topic on perspectives in translation. And followed by that, on 7th October, Professor Dr. T. Muthukrishnan, who made a very nice speech on intermediate languaging in translation, a professor of innovations in linguistic researches. Every time we listen to him, we could notice some newer expressions, newer combinations of expressions, and the exploitation of the language by Dr. T. Muthukrishnan is really great. And he also recently appointed as mentor professor of our department, and we are wholeheartedly welcoming him for almost all the activities. And Professor Dr. Muthukrishnan has a very great job on 7th of October, and followed by that 8th October, that is yesterday, and Dr. Lu Wei Ling, the professor of Department of Malaysian Languages and Applied Linguistics, Faculty of Languages and Linguistics from University of Malaya, Malaysia, made a very pertinent speech on human existence in an AI world from the perspective of translations and research of translation. A very nice speech he made yesterday afternoon. Thanks to Professor Li Wei Ying, and thanks to Dr. C. Ilandamil, who was behind the conducting this seminar and inviting Professor Louis for this webinar. Thanks to both of them for their wonderful contribution towards this webinar series. And lastly, today we had this valedictory function. For that function, Professor Dr. K. Murugan has visited through online and made a wonderful speech and cherished the past nostalgic moments with all we people. And thanks to our Professor Dr. K. Murugan. And it is my humble job to thank the senior most professors who were all along with this webinar program for the past 10 days, starting with Professor Nadana Sabhavati sir, and who is attending this program since the first day. Thanks to Dr. Nadana Sabhavati sir for his encouragement and constant enthusiasm and involving himself in the deliberations. So there's such a wonderful personality he has. And we, on behalf of the organizing team of this program and on behalf of the Department of Linguistics, I personally thank Professor Dr. Nadana Sabhavati sir for his wonderful presence. And followed by that, Professor, another senior most professor, Naraj Pillai sir, the former Deputy Director of CEL Mysore. And presently he is also appointed as the mentor professor of linguistics. And he will be serving in our department for another 3 years as mentor professor. And I congratulate on the behalf of the Department of Linguistics for his new appointment as mentor professor. And Professor Naraj Pillai has shown his greatest and wonderful gesture for the past 7 days by attending all the lectures and his wonderful deliberations since from the beginning of the lecture till the end. Thanks to Professor Naraj Pillai for his time and effort spent on us and his valuable guidance. That is really noteworthy. Thank you, sir. And followed by that, Professor Ravi Shankar from Pondicherry University, and Professor Ravi Shankar, a wonderful personality, a kind of amicable person who is always with us, and we never miss him in any of the research deliberations in our department. And every time he visits us, he'll be one among the family member like. And even during this webinar series, he was always with us. Even if I forget something, he will just take his lead hand and he will just instruct me, and he will just ask me to do what to do and what not to do. Such a kind of wonderful person. And he was attending all the 10-day webinar series. Thanks to Dr. Ravi Shankar sir for his valuable time spent on attending this webinar and his valuable guidance. And followed by that, my dear friend, Dr. P. Selvakumar from IITS Chennai, who is actively involving in this webinar series for the past 10 days and actually involving in the discussions also. Thanks to Dr. Selvakumar for enlightening some of the aspects of translation. A pertinent person who is, we miss him in this, actually literally we are missing him, but the next WhatsApp, we are going to invite him, and we are going to arrange some classes for him to enlighten the human translation, starting from the CATFOS and NIDA's principles. With all these things, he is going to deliberate. And thanks to Dr. Selvakumar for your valuable time spent on us and your gesture here to cherish the webinar series with active participation. And next, Dr. K. Umaraj ji, and my senior and alumni of our department, who is actually participating in our department webinar, and the well-wisher of our department, and who is actively participating and exchanging the information of all kinds of linguistic webinars and passing comments to the right person, the right context at the right time. A wonderful job he is doing, and none other than Dr. Umaraj can do that job. And I personally thank Dr. Umaraj for his wonderful yeoman service for the betterment and for the development of linguistics, and for his valuable time spent towards this attending this webinar program. And thank you, Dr. Umaraj, for your valuable time. And thanks to the senior professors who has attended this function since from the beginning, and my dear colleagues, Dr. Sundrabalu, Dr. Vijayan, Dr. Ramesh, Dr. Shankar Ganesh, who has spent a valuable time. For the past 10 days, I no need to say how hard they are working, and these people work like busy bees in arranging these things. Even though it is online webinar, the effort and the time we spend is almost similar to the natural regular webinar series. And thanks to my colleagues, and thanks to my office people, Satyavadi and Kavita, and thanks to my research scholars who have spent a valuable time and did a great help in organizing this function. And I thank all the people, especially the scholars and the participants from outside Bharatiya University, and participants of the professors of other universities and colleges for your valuable time. And I thank each and everyone on behalf of the organizing team for your valuable support and guidance and participation in this event. And if at all I miss anything, that is not by my intention. I thank each and everybody in the absentia. And thank you for your valuable time. And hopefully we will have similar kind of program in future. And most probably in a couple of weeks, we will have one more such program, and we will send invitation to all you people. And thanks to Bharatiya University and my dear colleagues and all the participants for your support and guidance. Thank you all very much.
Okay, thank you. Subramania, I have to thank you specially for the university and for you as well as the Department of Linguistics for appointing me as a mentor professor. I don't know how to mentor anyway. Thank you.
All of them are, Subbu, all of them will be in the Department of Linguistics for the coming future. Oh.
No. They will be at home.
Because senior professors should not hesitate to come to Bharatiya University. Now you can come at any time.
Anytime, that's right. Not only that, now it's a season of online. So we are online, always available online. ஆன்லைன் ப்ரொஃபசர்
நீங்க எல்லாம் இளமையாயிட்டு எங்களுக்கு முதுமையை கொடுப்பீங்களாட்டு இருக்குதா?
ஐயா நீங்களும் முதுமையானவங்க இப்படி வரலாம்.
அப்ப இப்பவே வந்துட வேண்டியதான் சார்.
இல்ல அப்படித்தான் இருக்கிறோம். நீங்க யங், நீங்க உமார் ராஜ் எல்லாம் யங்கா இருக்கிறீங்கல்ல.
சார் நீங்க கோயம்புத்தூர்ல நல்ல கிளைமேட் சார். நீங்க எல்லாம் கோயம்புத்தூர்ல
நீங்க தான் சொல்ற எல்லாம் ஜப்பானின்னு தான் சொல்றா. யாரு கோபாலகிருஷ்ணங்கிற?
ஐயோ இங்க மழை இவ்வளவு நேரம் கொட்டிச்சு மழை இங்க மைசூர்ல. நல்லா இருக்குது.
நல்லா இருக்கு
சார். சார் நன்றி சார். பாப்போம்
சார். செல்வகுமார் ஃபியூச்சர் மென்டார்.
ஆமா மெஷர்மெண்ட் அகாடமி
அவர் ரிட்டையர்ட் ஆயிட்டு ஃபர்ஸ்ட்
இந்த பெட்டர்
அவர் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ரிட்டையர்ட்.
உண்மையிலே சுப்பத்தை நம்ம நன்றி சொல்லணும் சார். இந்த குளோபல் லாக்டவுன்ல எல்லாத்தையும் ஒருங்கிணைச்சு எல்லாம் ஆரோக்கியமா இருக்கிறத பார்த்தாலே ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமா இருக்கு சார். இந்த லிங்குஸ்டிக்ஸ் எப்ப வேணா நம்ம நல்லா இருந்தா இது இருக்கிற வரைக்கும் அது வாழும். உண்மையிலே எவ்வளவோ நடந்துகிட்டு இருக்குது சார்.
இப்ப எல்லாமே
என்னென்னமோ நடக்குது. ஆமாங்க சார். அதுல இந்த நவம்பர், டிசம்பர், அக்டோபர், நவம்பர், டிசம்பர்ல அது ரொம்ப டயரா இருக்குன்னு சொல்றாங்க. இந்த கான்சிக்வன்ஸ் இந்த தீ நுண்மி தொற்று, ஆமா தீ நுண்மி பெருந்தொற்றுனுடைய விளைவு பயங்கரமா இருக்கும் போல இருக்குது. அதுல இந்த ரொம்ப குளிர் பிரதேசம் நம்ம ஊட்டி, கொடைக்கானல், கோயம்புத்தூர் அப்படின்றாங்க. அப்புறம் நீர்நிலைகள் இருக்கிற இடங்கள்ல எல்லாம் கொஞ்சம் தொற்று அதிகமா இருக்குன்னு சொல்றாங்க சார். நம்ம இதுல இருந்து நம்ம எஸ்கேப் பண்ணாலே போதுமானதா இருக்கு.
செல்வகுமார்
அல்ல அங்கேயும் தான் சார். அங்க பாதைவனத்துக்கு இல்ல உண்மையிலே அப்படிதான் சார் இருக்கு.
ப்ரோக்ராம் அருமையா இருந்தது. நல்ல தாட் ப்ரோவோக்கிங், இன்டர் லாங்குவேஜ். ஆமாமா, ராமமூர்த்தியோடது இப்போ பேராடைம் ஷிஃப்ட் எல்லாமே ஒரு
சார் விளையாட்டு சார். ஐஐடிஎஸ்ல விளையாட்டு கூட ஒரு லிங்குஸ்டிக்ஸ் டீச் பண்றதுக்கும் I could find no space to teach linguistics or share linguistics or எதையுமே பேச முடியல இருக்கிற சூழ்நிலையில. ஏன்னா லிட்ரேச்சர் அது வேற மாதிரி போகுது. எல்லாமே ஒரு மாதிரி ஹோமோஜினிட்டிக்கா இருக்கிறதுனால இதை கேட்ட உடனே திரும்ப அங்க வந்து சேர்ந்த வந்துடலாமாங்கிற மாதிரி இருக்குது.
அவரு வேற மென்டல் ப்ரொஃபசர் சம்பளம் தர மாட்டாங்க.
அதுல சம்பளத்துக்கு வாங்கிட்டு அங்க வந்துட வேண்டியதுதான். அதுதான் ஆரோக்கியமா இருக்கு சொன்ன மாதிரி. உண்மையிலேயே அந்த ஒரு அந்த நேட்டிவ் ஃபீல் வருது சார். நம்ம எல்லாத்தையும் அது உங்களை எல்லாம் பாக்குறப்ப சண்முகம் சார் நீங்க எல்லாம் ஏதோ போய் இந்த ஓரியன்டேஷன் எங்கேயாவது ப்ரோக்ராமுக்கு போனீங்களா? ட்ரைனிங் ப்ரோக்ராமுக்கு எல்லாம் இதுக்கப்புறம் எங்கேயோ ஒரு பயிற்சி எடுத்துட்டு வந்திருக்கிறாங்க. அதான் அந்த கன்சிஸ்டன்ட் பார்ட்டிசிபேஷனுடைய எஃபெக்ட் தெரியுதுங்க சார்.
Thank you, sir.
ரொம்ப நன்றி.
Thank you.